Good morning and welcome again to the 6th annual Tri-State Apex Accelerator Mega Matchmaker event. This is our second day of this year's event, and we want to thank you so much for joining us. My name is Robin Rowan. For those who don't know who I am, I'm the program manager for the Northwest Commission's Apex Accelerator serving Northwestern Pennsylvania businesses. If you're not located in Northwestern Pennsylvania, no worries. There's an Apex Accelerator located in every state. Just Google Apex Accelerators and you will find our national website to search for the Apex Accelerator that serves your region. I have the pleasure of introducing our next presenter for this morning, Mr. David Pinkoski. He's the Business Opportunity Specialist with the SBA, the Small Business Administration's Western PA District Office. Just to read a little bio about Dave. From starting a small business at the age of 18 to managing a city at age 22, to becoming a certified procurement professional, Dave has transitioned his business acumen to the U.S. Small Business Administration, SBA Western Pennsylvania District Office, as a business opportunity specialist. In his 16-year career with the City of Connellsville and Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission, Dave helped over 800 clients receive more than $900 million in government contracts from all levels of government. Since joining the SBA in 2018, Dave now helps entrepreneurs and small business owners increase their revenues and cash flow through the SBA's numerous federal contracting opportunities and small business assistant programs. Dave shares the SBA's mission and his contracting and business expertise at partner workshops and group and eligibility instruction sessions, and provides one-on-one small business counseling to clients. Dave graduated from Penn State University with a bachelor's degree a bachelor's degree in business administration, obtained his Master of Science degree in management and leadership from Western Governors University. He also holds multiple government contracting certifications, including the Certified Procurement Professional, CPP, from the Association of Procurement and Technical Assistance Centers, the Veteran-Owned Small Business Verification Assistance Counselor from the VA Center for Verification and Evaluation, and the Federal Acquisition Certification and Contracting, the FAC-C Professional from the Federal Acquisition Institute. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Mr. Dave Pinkoski. Welcome, Dave. Thank you so much for joining us. So very excited. I did not know that you managed a whole city. That was news to me. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome, Ron. That was my first real job out of college. I applied for it kind of on a whim. I was like, oh, this looks like a cool gig. And it was either that or keep my business going. And I decided, hey, I'm going to try the government thing, and just kind of fell into it. Got the job.
Very cool.
History, as they say. So
cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm gonna let everybody know they can put questions in the chat. Would you like us to have those questions read as they come in, or during a certain time, or just wait to the end?
Just do them at the end. That's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to stop you. Yeah, perfect. I'll probably stop you at a certain time to start taking questions. So
awesome. Yeah. And we may not be, I think you said about 45 minutes or so, correct, Robin?
Yep.
Maybe an hour or so. It may not be the full time, but I'll just kind of go through everything and give you a little background. It is my pleasure to be here. Very excited to be involved with this program again. I am going to go ahead and turn off my camera, though, just to save on the bandwidth a little. And I work on multiple screens. This way it keeps people from worrying about me making googly eyes at them when I'm on the screen. I don't want to give anybody motion sickness by moving around too much or anything. The Italian in me starts to come out, and I do tend to be a little movement oriented when I present. So as Robin said, my name is Dave Pinkoski. And I've been doing this stuff for a long time, as you heard from my bio. I've competed on things in the federal contracting space. I've awarded contracts. I've literally been on all sides of this stuff, working with government from the industry side or, through my different experience with different levels of government. And it is my pleasure to be involved with this program. The Apex Accelerators started this when the pandemic hit, the Tri-State Mega Matchmaker. As Robin said, it's the 6th one, which is just crazy how fast time goes. I've been involved with all of them, I think, on some level, either just having a virtual booth or doing a presentation. And I'm always happy to be here and talk to everyone about the different things we have going on at the SBA. So this year, we're going to discuss the Made to Grow Tools for American Manufacturing program. Before I get into that, though, I just want to give you a little background about SBA, just in case there's anybody on the line who's not heard of us or isn't familiar with us. As Robin said, we are an actual federal agency. A lot of times people think we're a chamber of commerce or a local kind of business consortium or something like that. But no, we are a government agency. Our national administrator, Kelly Loeffler, is actually an appointee by the president. So she's part of the president's cabinet of President Trump. And we have 68 district offices, various regional offices and things along those lines, but headquarters is in DC. And our job at the SBA is to help small businesses start, grow, expand, and recover. So really, that's our mission. Now, we're a relatively small agency. We're not massive or huge by any means, but we have a very big mission of helping people realize their small business dreams and goals. So we do that in conjunction with our amazing resource partners like our Apex Accelerators and some of the other ones I have on the screen here now, such as our small business development centers, our SCORE chapters, women's business centers, and veterans business outreach centers. So pretty much whatever you need for your small business, no matter where you're at in your small business life cycle, the odds are very good we have an expert somewhere, a program, something that'll fit you to help you with your small business. So we have a lot of different programs and services to accomplish that mission. So the SCORE chapters, the SBDCs, the Veterans Business Centers, and the Women's Business Centers, those are our officially funded partners. Those are partners that SBA actually gives money to work as an extension of the SBA and assist us with all the counseling and things we do, which I'll discuss. But these are all the different programs and things that we oversee. So I obviously, as a federal contracting expert, spend a lot of my time in our certification programs, HUBZone, veteran-owned, obviously, women-owned, helping people with joint ventures, mentor protege, different things along those lines, our various funding programs, our loan programs that we'll talk about. We have a lot of different things and a lot of different mechanisms there to help people get the capital they need for their small business. So yeah, there's a lot that we do. There's, again, a lot of different things going on here, and we have a number of things. So hopefully we have something that you can take advantage of. So when it comes to our counseling services and what we do, I always like to have people just check out our website. SBA.gov, SBA.gov. So 6 simple letters. We have a lot of good information right on our website, available 24/7 for people to go and look at to learn more about what we do and what we have that may be beneficial for your firm. So things like you need funding, we help people with planning your business, launching, managing, and growing. So I'm just going to review each of those very briefly, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the actual Made in America manufacturing program stuff. So as far as planning your business, when you're first starting out, even if you just have a general idea and you're not sure if it's a viable idea, we have counselors that work on behalf of our agency, totally free of charge, to help you do market research, competitive analysis. They'll help you with your business plan, calculate your startup costs, all those things that go into actually starting a business and getting it off the ground. If you want to explore buying an existing business or franchise, what does that look like? Where do you get funding? Even simple things, how do you just get a business bank account? Whatever you may need, we have people that will help you do that. Then we get into launching your business. We have counselors that'll work with you on things like picking your business location, choosing the right business structure. Is an LLC most appropriate for you? Sole proprietorship, maybe some other sort of designation. What makes the most sense? Making sure you're getting all your registrations out of the way, all your licenses and permits, business insurance, all that stuff that goes into starting and launching. And what does that look like? It can be pretty complicated to get things off the ground. So that's really what we're talking about when we talk about launching your business. Once you're a little more seasoned, how do you manage your finances? Are you staying legally compliant? How do you recover from a disaster if something were to happen? Maybe you're actually at a point, you've been in business for 40 years, you're ready to retire, do you want to sell your company? What's your transition plan look like? Do you have a line of succession of what happens to the company? Especially if you have existing government contracts or anything, what does that look like? We can help you work through all of those different things. And finally, growing your business, how to get more funding, expanding, mergers, acquisitions. If you want to become an exporter, if you want to participate in the federal marketplace, which obviously everybody here does, because that's the point of the Tri-State Mega Matchmaker and the amazing work that our APEC accelerators do. We have people, again, that will help you through all of those different things. So I'll talk a little bit about the certifications and things when I get into kind of how that relates to Made in America. But I just wanted to briefly let everybody know that we are here to assist you. We are a federal agency. We have numerous nonprofit partners that receive federal money, to assist you with all of these different things completely free of charge. So we are always happy to help you. And if you get nothing else out of anything else out of what I say today, 100% just realize that you're not alone out there. We will do whatever we can to assist you, no matter where you're at in your small business life cycle. That's what we're here for. We want to be that agency and that point of contact for you to coach you through these things and make sure you get the help you need. All right. So with all that being said, I'm going to talk about the Made in America Manufacturing Initiative. So this has been, a priority of President Trump's administration and our national administrator, Kelly Loeffler, to bring American manufacturing, bring manufacturing back to America, and do things like actually increase access to capital, improve more opportunities for public and private sector investment in American manufacturing, and help small business manufacturers in the U.S. participate in a global scale. So really, we want to bring some of those things back. We want to see more manufacturing take root in the U.S. For a number of different reasons. Obviously, better paying jobs, more high quality products, and even sourcing. There's a lot of times in the federal marketplace with dealing with different agencies and things that I work with, we actually can't find American manufacturers for some of the products we need in the federal level. So we need to get people back into that manufacturing mindset and actually into our federal supply chains. So the idea behind the whole program and what it's all about is to help small businesses that are either current manufacturers or want to start manufacturing something, how do they do that? How do they get in business? How do they scale their business? And what can we do to make that easier for manufacturing to become a more lucrative industry in the United States again? So the first thing we did, that SBA did, is we now have a red tape hotline. So it's live and it's active. It's been online probably since about March or April. Obviously, we lost about 43 days with the shutdown in October. But the Red Tape Hotline is where we are trying to solicit information from our small businesses, from the industry, from our entrepreneurs. We want to know about the regulations and concerns you have out there that are difficult, that are causing difficulties for you to open a manufacturing shop or just small business. What's hard about being in business for you? We want to know these things. Something the administration is really working on right now is a new 10-for-1 rule, meaning for every new regulation that comes out of the federal government, we would like to eliminate 10 small business regulations that negatively impact entrepreneurship. So that's a pretty big deal. So we want to know, is there something out there? Is there excessive costs on those small businesses? Is there a particular rule, regulation, something that is just making it excessively difficult for you to do your jobs and do what you want to do every day? So we have a 1-800 number. You can call that and select option 3 and report these things. You can send an email to redtape@sba.gov, where you can go and actually send in your comments and concerns that way. And if you go to the Office of Advocacy's website at advocacy.sba.gov, we have that resources hotline. We have actually a red button right on our webpage where you can actually just submit your comments through our online form. So we want to hear about anything that may be having an effect on you in a negative manner. So the regulations that are just costly, confusing, or outdated, permitting or licensing delays, duplicative or conflicting rules, excessive paperwork, unclear guidance. Those are the sorts of things we're really looking for. So we actually want to take those. Our Office of Advocacy at SBA has been given a lot more authority and teeth to actually drill down into these problems and make recommendations to Congress that they can then present and actually change these rules and regulations. So it's a pretty big deal because a lot of times people get the feeling that, oh, the government's not listening to me, right? It's not uncommon. Oh, why am I going to send in some information or whatever? Nobody's going to do anything with it. Well, now our Office of Advocacy at SBA has the authority to actually implement these things. So we want to know what's out there, what's causing you problems. You know, regulations that are outdated. I actually had a small business client within the past year that had a really hard time with a Navy contract because the Navy contracting officer came in. It was a job they were doing for a commercial sector customer, the small business was, and the Navy came in and used a very outdated, like 1940 World War II era regulation to come in and pretty much overtake their shop to get some things produced that they were working on, and so they had priority. Well, it's a really obscure rule that only comes into effect during wartime. We weren't in a war at that point, you know, so it wasn't anything that needed to happen. So stuff like that, you know, we want to hear about those things. Duplicative or conflicting rules. A lot of you may be familiar right now with the federal acquisition regulations and things that are going on in the contracting sector. The federal acquisition regulations, or the FAR, is the federal government's procurement Bible, so to speak. It guides all of the different ways that we do our procurements at the federal level. You know, it's going through a major overhaul to actually streamline it, to make it more user-friendly and easier to navigate. So I'm pretty excited about that. You know, somebody who's worked in the FAR for a lot of years at this point, you know, you'll get into the FAR regulations and you'll read one regulation just for a specific thing that you're working on for a contract. And then it'll say, oh, well, this applies, but only if you meet this criteria, you know, then see section whatever, then you got to go to that one, then you get reference to another section, and you're bouncing around. And by the end of it, you don't even know what you started to try to look at in the first place. So we're trying to get rid of stuff like that. So even if it's just a single regulation or a broader issue, we want to hear about your experience so that you can help shape the change of what's going to be more effective for you and your other entrepreneurs and your partners that are out there. Another thing we started, and this is really interesting and something I think personally is really, really cool, is we now have the Make Onshoring Great Again portal. So the idea behind this at SBA.gov / onshoring is we now have a partnership with IndustryNet, ThomasNet, and Connex, where we can actually connect small businesses with other small business suppliers to help you strengthen your domestic supply chains here in the US. So it's a totally free tool, again, at SBA.gov / onshoring. And this is interesting because we typically at SBA, we're prohibited in a lot of cases from doing matchmaking. You know, sometimes we get people that call us and they say, hey, I'd love to work with a partner company. Can you connect me with so-and-so, and I'm looking for this supplier, that supplier. And it's not something we were ever really allowed to do. Our attorneys would get kind of squirrely about it because, you know, if we make a connection, then the business relationship goes bad. You know, who gets blamed? The SBA and the government, right? But this is an actual, you know, legitimate partnership with these three entities where you can go to the onshoring.gov portal, and this is actually just a screenshot. If you go to the website, scroll down a little bit, and you can very easily register on these different sites and get connected with different suppliers. So if you're looking for machinery, parts, different services, you know, anything you need, no matter company size, if you're looking for a large company to work with, a partner with, a small business, you know, whatever, you can go on there now and very easily put your information on there or search out other small businesses information so that you can be connected with suppliers local to the US, domestic firms, and you can hopefully get the products and services you need here in the US. So it's really cool. And the last one here, the IQS directory, is pretty neat. This is actually an RFQ site where you can go in there and find things like you can send in requests for quotes from other vendors and stuff like that. So we have the Make Onshoring Great Again handbook. I encourage everybody to take a look at that if this is something you're interested in. You know, take the few minutes. It's not overly cumbersome by any means to get on there. They are still working out some kinks, though. It's been up for a few months now, but you know, these websites and systems sometimes take a few months to develop and kind of flesh out all the bugs. But, you know, get on there, register for these. They're completely free. And this is great. You know, I've had a couple of clients use this already and get connected with people. And I actually just got a email this morning that I haven't even responded to yet from a small business in California who literally said that his production costs have tripled in the past 4 years and his business is not sustainable. So he's looking at sourcing domestic as opposed to what he's been doing. And so we're going to get him hooked up, hopefully on the website either today or tomorrow, so that he can hopefully find somebody here locally to manufacture his products and everything. So again, that's something that I'm really excited about, and a lot of us at the SBA are really on board with, because we've not ever traditionally had the ability to do matchmaking in any capacity. So this is something that's really cool for our manufacturers, again, in order to make it easier for you to find each other and to get the products and services you need from domestic companies. And finally, I want to talk about manufacturing.gov. Now, this website's been around for a while, but it has been updated, and it is much more user-friendly than it's been in the past. So manufacturing.gov is the primary hub for information about federal manufacturing programs. So we actually have a lot of manufacturing programs out there that people don't even realize exist. So you can go on here and search all of those different things. So for example, if you're interested in the Navy Manufacturing Technology Program, which I know Robin and her team at the Northwest Commission Apex Accelerator have done a lot of trainings on over the years. The DoD Casting and Forging Program, maybe National Science Foundation's Advanced Manufacturing Program, things like that. All those different sites or all those different programs have been consolidated into manufacturing.gov. So you can find all the descriptions and the contact information for the federal programs much easier than you've ever been able to before. A lot of that stuff used to be segmented and kind of parsed out on the different agency websites. It's been consolidated. It's a lot easier to read and a lot easier to find now. You can find the different funding opportunities, especially if there's any grant programs or anything, which typically we don't have a lot of federal grants these days. Many times small businesses come to us and think the federal government just has, massive pots of federal money to just throw at people to start small businesses. That's not the case, and it hasn't been for a long time. But we are starting to see some different grant opportunities related to the Made in America Manufacturing Initiative that are starting to come out, in order to help people, get up and running much quicker. You can find all kinds of different things. You can search by topic. You can find different White House announcements. You can find different award announcements. So, for example, I just saw one posted not too long ago that General Dynamics had a massive $21 million award for some things they're developing and working on. So obviously they're going to need subcontractors in a lot of cases, so reach out to them, and that those primes are getting awards, and see how you can get involved with them and become one of their small business subcontractors and become part of their network. So there's a lot of good information on there. It's much more user-friendly than it's ever been, and I'm actually a big fan of this site as well. So we are moving some things in the right direction, I'm happy to say, when it comes to this stuff. One of the things, and I've been in this for so long, even before SAM was a thing, and CCR and ORCUF, and if you go back that far, and before we even had the online systems, it was paper and everything else. And to see all this stuff consolidated and easy to find and digest and much more user-friendly nowadays is a very, very good thing. And hopefully it'll be a lot more beneficial for many of our entrepreneurs and our small businesses. So that's really the crux of it right now. This program, the Made in America Manufacturing Initiative, it's less than a year old. It's only been out since about March. So we're still, working on some different things. The agency at the headquarter level still has some other things in the works and coming down the pipeline. Some of the things, though, are being rolled into our current programs. So I want to explain that a little bit and talk to you about that. So we have SBA loan programs. So we have 3 different parts of SBA loans typically. So we have our Microloan program, our 7A loan program, and the 504 loan program. So microloans are for things up to $50,000, or loans up to $50,000 for things like working capital, supplies and fixtures, anywhere from $500 to $50,000 you can borrow for a microloan. The 7A loan program is our most flexible loan program we have, and you can get up to $5 million for things like working capital, equipment, inventory, business acquisitions, real estate. And within the 7A loan program, we have the new Manufacturers Access to Revolving Credit Program. So this program just released in September, and the idea behind the mark is to actually have a revolving line of credit instead of a traditional loan. So it's the first time we've ever done anything like this at the SBA. It can be, and it's designed to work in conjunction with our other loan programs and provide flexible working capital to help small businesses really scale their operations to be able to take on new customers. So you can use it in a number of different ways, and some different things as far as using expand your working capital by leveraging the available equity of your existing facility or equipment and stuff like that. So it's new. It came out right before we shut down. So unfortunately, like I said, it came out in September, then we were out for 43 days and we've been back a few weeks at this point. So it's just now taking hold, but I wanted to mention that is specifically for manufacturers as part of the Made in America Manufacturing Initiative. So we expect more things. Like I said, there's other things being developed and other things coming out as we work through this process to get all this stuff implemented. So some benefits of SBA lending, just to kind of give you a little info about our programs, because this is probably the #1 call we get at my district office anyway, here in Pittsburgh at Western PA. Again, we have 68 district offices all across the country, and I have the 27 counties of Western Pennsylvania for what I do. But really the benefits of SBA lending, it helps to mitigate insufficient collateral. We provide things like longer amortizations, lower down payments. We don't have prepayment penalties and things, no balloon structures in a lot of cases. And we provide flexible financing whenever you can't get financing from somewhere else. So typically, if you've been rejected for a traditional loan at a bank, SBA can kind of step in and work with the bank, because what we do is we actually guarantee that the loan that the bank makes to the borrower. So we're reducing that bank's risk, so they're more willing and able to provide financing to somebody that may not qualify under traditional mechanisms because they know they have the backing of the SBA. So our SBA loan process actually works a little differently than a lot of people think. People call us all the time and say, "Hey, Dave, I want to get an SBA loan. I can't find your loan application." And the reason is we don't have a loan application because we don't lend the money directly. So the lending partner, and we have a number of amazing lending partners, financial institutions that are part of our network, pretty much all major banks. We have community development lenders and things like that, and different nonprofit groups that are part of the SBA network. So we always recommend to start with whoever you do your current business banking with is who you should actually contact for an SBA loan. Start with them. So the lending partner actually issues the loan to you, the small business. And again, we are just backing the loan that the bank made. So you want to apply through your local lender. So that's always the best place you want to start. If you have some trouble with that lending partner or you're not happy with your current bank, we do have some other mechanisms to help you explore other financial institutions that may be more willing to work with you. But hopefully, if you have a good banking relationship and you want to explore SBA funding, your current bank will be able to talk you through it. And then the lender actually is who will approve and help you manage your loan. And the other cool thing about SBA loans is a lot of them actually come with counseling involved, through our resource partners, through the bank itself. So we're not just leaving you out there kind of hanging. We have other business counseling that goes into that so that you can effectively use that loan to get the most bang for your buck. So don't hesitate to check out our loan programs. They can be used for all kinds of different things, as I mentioned. And we've had a lot of people have a lot of good success from using SBA loans to get started and up and running for all kinds of different things. And then finally, just want to talk briefly about Made to Grow, federal contracting, and certifications. Now, again, this is where I spend most of my days. A lot of you are probably maybe exploring federal contracting for for the first time, or if you've been around. But something we get a lot of that people ask, and I know Robin and the Apex group will definitely back me up on this, is why would you want to pursue federal contracts? And the answer is, vast markets, there's ample opportunities for all industries, and it's a great way for small businesses to generate additional revenue. It's not often that you can get into a commercial sector, job or project and kind of see your competitors or have an idea of what an agency or what a private corporation is paying somebody. And one of the cool things about federal contracting is all that stuff is public information. So we have extensive resources and websites available on past contract data where you can very easily learn about who your potential customers will be, what agencies buy what you sell. The other great thing, and one of the best things probably about federal contracting, in my opinion, is you're guaranteed to get paid. The Federal Prompt Payment Act requires that government agencies pay their contractors within 30 days. And I can tell you as a business opportunity specialist, I deal with very, very few payment issues. Our agencies do very well as far as making sure their small businesses and their contractors are paid in a timely manner. Many of them pay, at least the ones I work with, pay within 14 days, well under that 30-day time frame, which is huge for small businesses. We get a lot of requests and calls at our office saying, hey, you know, I'm in a small business supply chain somewhere in the commercial sector, and I'm waiting on somebody to pay me, who's waiting on somebody to pay them, and you're having to float money to keep yourself running for 6, 7, 8 months before you're getting your check. You know, we don't have that problem at the federal level, which is great. A lot of small businesses do like that. I like to show this slide on the federal budget, just to give everybody kind of an idea of kind of how it breaks down on a percentage basis. You know, we are the world's biggest customer, so we spend about 36% of the federal budget goes for supplies and equipment, 35% for services, 19% agricultural, 7% on construction, and 3% on wholesale and retail. So do keep in mind, you know, we multi-trillion-dollar federal budget, of course, so it's a lot of dollars behind those percentages. But that's always kind of interesting to look at. And people like it when I show them this as well, kind of see the federal procurement dollar. You know, for every federal government contract we put out there, where is that money going? How does that break down between our agencies? And we spend about 64 cents out of every dollar goes to our defense agencies, Department of War, Army, Navy, Marine, so on and so forth. And about 36 cents out of every dollar that we spend on contracts goes to our civilian agencies. So there's money that's through our agencies. So there's a lot of opportunity in the federal sector, which is one of the great things about it. We buy anything and everything you could possibly imagine, sometimes some really goofy things that people would never even think about, but there is a need for that. That's one of the things about contracting is there is a lot of research that goes into our acquisitions. You know, we aren't typically out there spending money just because. You know, I know sometimes the perception is a little weird because, again, we do buy things that may not make sense to the general public, but, you know, they are things that are needed, and there's a reason we have to buy these things. So I'd just like to show people those. Why wouldn't you want to get involved in contracting? Well, it is competitive. It can be difficult to identify end users. We do have a lot of regulations. Again, those are being streamlined, though, and have been mostly overhauled at this point. Not all are in effect at this stage, but at least it's in the process of being consolidated and kind of cut down. So things like reporting requirements may be subject to contract audits, and you can, you know, spend a lot of time learning all the ins and outs of dealing in the federal marketplace and submit a fantastic proposal, but there's no guarantees you're ever going to get a contract. So it's government contracting for most of our small businesses is something people want to do. We have a lot of clients that kind of show up and say, oh, I want to get a contract. This is great. And they think the heavens are just going to open up and all these $1 million federal contracts are just going to fall out of the sky and smack them in the head. And unfortunately, that's not how it works, okay? So, you know, don't be intimidated by it, though, because we have phenomenal partners that are funded by the federal government to help you with these things. Again, we are here to assist you. So whether it's SBA, any of the other groups I mentioned, and especially for contracting, our amazing Apex Accelerators. You know, when I was at the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission, I was an Apex Accelerator Subcenter Director for about 12 years before I joined SBA, kind of in between some other things I did there. I was in the program back when it was called PTACs, Procurement and Technical Assistance Centers, and as you probably know, they went through a rebranding a couple years ago. But the Apex Accelerator team is phenomenal. They do great work, and you know, they put on just awesome programs like these, and their individual counseling, their one-on-one assistance is really second to none. And the great thing is they help you with all levels of government, not just federal. So they will even get involved in state and local contracting as well, which is just great. So our federal certification programs. Now, these definitely are playing a role in the Made in America Manufacturing Initiative, and I definitely want to mention that and kind of explain this a little bit. So obviously, we have a 23% overall small business goal, meaning that 23% of all the contracts we put out at the federal level have to go to small businesses. Now, our agencies have done great work. You know, I've just saw a little pop up there. Our agency has done great work over the years, hitting above that 23%. But then we also have certification programs for small businesses. So we have special socioeconomic designations beyond just small business certification for women-owned small businesses, our 8A certification, which is for small disadvantaged businesses, HUBZone businesses, which is historically underutilized business zones, and our service-disabled veteran-owned small business program. So these are additional certifications that you can get that can give you a leg up in federal contracting and help you, kind of break into the federal contracting arena. And we actually have set-asides and sole source contracts available for firms that participate in these certification programs. So recently, on October 1st, right when the shutdown happened, unfortunately, we actually had an increase in our small business contracting thresholds. So before, we really didn't have, you could get up to $5.5 million or a $7 million contract in manufacturing through a sole source, through either like maybe an 8A certification, a HUBZone, women-owned certification. That has now actually been increased to $8.5 million for manufacturing firms. And that includes our service-disabled vet, the small business threshold has actually gone up, prime contractors, subcontracting plans is now up to $2 million for construction and things and some other industries. So we're pretty excited about that. And the micro purchase threshold, I should mention, did increase. That used to be 10,000, it's now 15,000. So what that means is we can now use more streamlined purchasing procedures to award small businesses and small manufacturers federal contracts. So we can do that through sole sources, where we can award you a contract directly if you're certified in one of these programs. We can issue set-asides, where we will dictate that only people that have the certification can compete on a particular federal solicitation. So the idea, again, is to funnel more money to our manufacturing firms and our other small businesses to help them get into our federal supply chains. Again, because we need people to, supply us with the stuff we need. The Navy's doing their submarine changeover right now, from the Ohio class to the Columbia class submarines and all that sort of thing. And there's times that the Navy reaches out to us. I actually got a call from a contracting officer right before the shutdown, and just trying to find somebody to procure and that they can actually buy some of the things they need from, because we literally just can't find people to fulfill some of the orders that we have out there. But our need doesn't go away, right? So we have to figure this out. So again, we are actually trying to get more people into that, into the space of the federal sector and support our defense agencies at a much better level than they do now. And we've even had some grants. So far, I should say one grant. We actually back in May had a grant program specifically for HUBZone certified businesses. Now, the HUBZone program's been around since 1997, which is even before I started in all this, and I have never seen a grant program specifically for the HUBZone. So we actually had a grant program if you had HUBZone designation, and it was an SBA grant that you were able to get if you are HUBZone certified small business potentially. So we hope more things are like that are going to be in the pipeline and in the works. By all means, absolutely, if you think you're eligible for a certification, if you're not sure, reach out to us, contact your local SBA office, reach out to your local Apex Accelerator. They are just as much of an expert on getting into these programs as I am. They will be more than happy to talk you through it and help you with the paperwork and figure out what you need to do to potentially take advantage of these. So just wanted to mention those. Certification benefits and application process. It does, again, gives you access to sole sources and competitive set-asides. You get assistance from federal procurement experts, obviously. You can look at joint ventures, mentor-protege programs, things that make you more attractive to other suppliers, where you can partner up on different teaming arrangements to participate in the federal marketplace. And you can apply at My SBA Certification. So certifications.sba.gov is our official website. We used to have all of our 4 certifications on different federal sites. And again, it was a real pain in the butt for people to navigate, because if you're applying for multiple certifications, you literally had to go get a username at each site, upload the same exact documentation, go through a very similar questionnaire for each one, and it was really pointless. It's a big time waste for a lot of people. So we consolidated all of these systems into one system now, one portal, where you can very easily go to certifications.sba.gov, register your company one time, upload all your documentation one time, and then you just click through the different certifications that you're applying to, and it will attach your all your documentation and send it in to our review team. So it's much more streamlined, a lot user-friendly than it's ever been for our small businesses. So if you want to explore certifications, definitely take advantage of it. And now's the time to do it. Like I said, we had that one grant program so far for HUBZone businesses. Hopefully there's going to be more. So if you want to take a look at that to hopefully get some of those manufacturing funds that hopefully come through for some of those, now's the time to take a look at it. And with that, this is my last slide. Just have some different resources on here for everybody. Obviously, our Apex Accelerators, our SCORE chapters. This is the Western PA District Office. I'm based here in Green Tree, Pittsburgh area. I cover, again, the 27 counties of Western Pennsylvania, but we have district offices all over. You can very easily go to that SBA.gov locations link there, and just plug in your zip code and it will give you the list of every resource partner that's in your immediate area. So I know this is a tri-state thing. If you're looking for Ohio, New York, or if we have anybody from outside of those territories, it's not too hard to find us at all. We're just right online there. Small business development centers or other groups, and you can always call the 800 number or the SBA answer desk. You can send them an email at answerdesk@sba.gov. So that is it for me. So I will go ahead and turn my camera on. And Robin, if we had any
Yes.
questions at all, I will be more than happy to answer what I can.
We got some questions for you. And this first question is from Jeff. And I'm thinking he meant make America, but he said make anchoring. So great again. So I'm thinking if there's anyone from the Navy on here, they might actually steal that line. Make anchoring great again. Unless he did mean make anchoring it, but I think he meant make America great again. Is the make America great again for firms in the service industry also, like software development, project management, etc.?
Right now, to my knowledge, it is not. So it's predominantly manufacturing. I don't know what they would have on there as far as those specific things like software development, project development. I think it's mainly for parts and other manufacturers. I can double check on that though, and definitely get you an answer. So Jeff, if we could get your email, that would be no problem at all to check that out. Or Robin, I can get the answer actually and send it to you if you could distribute it to the group. Yeah,
Yep,
that'd be easiest.
great.
Yeah, let me double check on that one. I don't believe so right now. Like I said, things are still being developed. I'd imagine though we'll get to some of those more ancillary type businesses just because, you know, who knows what the need will be for the manufacturers, right? And if you have an opportunity to be somehow connected through one of those assistance services or one of those other firms, I think that would be very useful. So yeah, I'll check that out though for you.
And Dixie has a question. If we are already certified as a WBE and an MBE with the state, is certification through the SBA automatically issued as a result?
No, unfortunately not. So we really don't have reciprocity amongst the different levels of government. Each governing body can develop and set up their own certification programs. So state certification doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be qualified for a local procurement or a federal procurement or so on and so forth. So other agencies and entities can accept federal certifications if they so choose. We, however, do not recognize anybody else's. I always tell clients when they ask this question, think of it like a pyramid with maybe different levels at each level of the pyramid, with the federal government being at the very tippy top, and then other state agencies below the federal government may take our certs, and then other local agencies under the state agencies may take them, and it'll flow down, but ours, nothing flows up to us. So you have to meet our federal requirements. So unfortunately, it does not. Now, once you've been through one certification process, I will say the other certifications are typically a little easier because they're going to be similar processes. So it should be a little more streamlined for you, but you will have to be certified by us directly.
Yeah. And one of the things that, just to comment on that, as an Apex Accelerator, if I have a company who, falls in line with some of these certifications, we kind of take a look at which path is going to be give them more return on their investment. They might, not even need a state certification because they're going after federal work. So we help them figure out, which of the certifications they may need all those certifications, but we create a plan of action for our companies, our clients to decide, which path is the best avenue to go down. So just reach out to your Apex Accelerator, Dixie, and they'll help you with any of this as well.
Great point, Robin. Yeah, because you definitely don't want to spin your wheels getting a bunch of certs for stuff you're never going to use. That makes no sense at all. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I know I have a lot of firms will come to me that are not even doing business with the government at all, and they want to get certified as a woman-owned small business. And I'm like, why? And why would you put yourself through all of that when you don't need, if you're not going to go after government contracting, just tell people you're a woman-owned business. You don't need it unless you're doing government contracting, from what I understand. So,
absolutely right.
Yep. Niels has a question, says, thanks for the presentation. For a small startup firm that are willing to support a prime contractor as a subcontractor, what's the best way to reach out to these firms? My personal experience is that they are non-responsive. So I have a comment after Dave wants to give his 2 cents on this, and then I have a comment on
Sure,
that.
sure. Yeah, that's a tricky one, Niels. Without a doubt, it's something that comes up quite a bit. Um, if they're being non-responsive, the first thing I always recommend, though, is to check their website. A lot of the primes, especially the larger ones, they have small business certification programs, so to speak, already. So many times you can just go to their website and register there. The other thing that's always helpful is to attend industry days, things like this, matchmakers, go out and meet these people. Relationship building is huge in contracting and in business in general. So anything you can do to kind of get that personal touch is without a doubt something you want to take advantage of. Make sure whenever you're contacting them, are you doing it the right way? Maybe send an email, then maybe follow up with a phone call. Try and identify the person you need to do. If you have a capability statement, do you have the right things on there for your capability statement to entice them to want to work with you? Maybe you're not sending your stuff to the right person, or maybe you're listing things on your capability statement that they don't really have a need for. So you got to really kind of learn more about their business, and same with the federal level. So for example, you don't want to spend your time marketing your services or products to an agency if that agency does what you're trying to sell us in-house already. We may have a whole team of 100 people that already do what you're trying to sell us. However, a different agency down the road may not have that expertise at all and may buy it. So you really want to try and focus and just make sure you're selling yourself the right way, presenting yourself properly. Again, that's something Robin and her team and the Apexes can help you out with, that marketing. But check their websites and just try to make contact with the most appropriate person for that group is usually what I recommend. Cold calling, especially if you're just sending stuff to like a general email, you're probably almost never going to get a response. I mean, there may not even be a person reading it these days. It could be just an AI thing and they're just not even paying attention. So
Yeah,
hopefully
exactly.
that helps a little, but marketing is
Yeah.
a tough thing. Yeah, we
Yeah,
do
those are all
entire
great,
classes on
great
marketing.
comments. Yeah, I was going to recommend the capability statement. Definitely have that. If you don't know what a capability statement is, reach out to your Apex Accelerator. We have templates or examples to help you understand all that stuff. And then, if we're working with your Apex Accelerator, I'll tell you, Niels, I have the same issue. I'll reach out to one of these larger prime contractors, and they won't answer your emails, trying to get them to participate with our matchmaking event. But sometimes we do have contacts, and some of the contacts that we have, they've given us permission to release their contact information. So you never know. And if I don't have that information, I can reach out to my other Apex Accelerator colleagues across the nation, and I call them my phone a friends, and see if I can get that contact information for you. So having that relationship with your Apex Accelerator is very, very crucial, because we may have that information to be able to, we may not, but it doesn't hurt to ask us. So, and then the last point I wanted to make with that one, this afternoon, we have a panel discussion with 3 large primes. So if you join us at 2 o'clock today, we have Lockheed Martin, we have L3 Harris, and we have Moog. We have representatives from their small business offices that will be on there. That's a good question that maybe you could ask them during that session. So please join us at 2 o'clock today for that
I
prime
might try to
panel
hop on that
discussion.
myself, Robin.
Yeah.
I have a chance. That's so good. Excellent.
Yes. Jeff also has another question. Are MBEs still being assisted by the SBA? Are MBEs under this small disadvantaged business umbrella?
Yes. Oh, yeah, 100%. So MBEs, you're talking about minority business enterprises, I'd imagine. MBEs, minority firms, are under the SBA disadvantaged umbrella. So interestingly, at the federal level, and this has been a point of confusion for a lot of years, we actually don't have a minority certification and never did. It was rolled into our 8A program, which is for disadvantaged firms. So kind of how it worked up until a couple of years ago is any minority firm was automatically presumed to be disadvantaged. And that's the only thing that went away, is we took away the certain 4 designated groups we had: Hispanic, Asian, minority, Asian, African American, Hispanic, and Native American. We took away the assumption that just because you were of a certain race, you were disadvantaged. So how it works is everybody simply has to write a 1 to 3 page narrative explaining what their disadvantage is now, and how that has held you back in business and life, and kind of what you've been through. And that can be anything. You know, it can be anything from maybe racial discrimination. It can be maybe you were held back in schooling. I actually had a really interesting client about a year or 2 ago that was raised in a religious cult. I hadn't really thought about that. From, you know, rural middle America, grew up kind of off the grid, so to speak, did not have access to schooling opportunities or anything. And that's a disadvantage. You know, they were held back, and that qualifies for that. So yeah, we've always had disadvantage, and minority businesses can qualify for the disadvantage status. So there's nothing separate or anything. We work with anybody and everybody. Makes no difference to us, and or anybody's eligible for the 8A program as long as they can show the disadvantage.
Yeah. Adina has a question. Is the same question that I had. I had it wrote down here to make sure I asked Dave.
Okay.
She says, good morning. And is there a website or an avenue to check when those HUBZone grants are available?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Grants.gov.
Okay, so it is on grants.gov.
Grants.gov. Yep. They come out on
Okay.
grants.gov, and we typically do a hard and heavy press release and everything. We try to pump that information out there. We'll post it on X, our social media. We use LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn and X are probably the 2 biggest social media things we have. It'll be on our website. You can sign up at SBA.gov for email alerts directly on our website. So anytime we have a new program releasing or anything like that at all, we do our best to get it out there to the public. But the official release will be on grants.gov with the paperwork and the submission requirements.
All right. Louis has a question, and I'm going to be able to answer this one too. What's the best source of research on what NSNs or FSCs were purchased by whom? U.S. spending is a good site, but your best bet, Louis, is to go to the Federal Procurement Data System, the FPDS. It's actually the system that feeds into where U.S. spending gets their data, and it's their best. You can search by the NSN code. You can or NSN numbers. You can search by FSCs on the FPDS. It's fpds.gov. It's like the best secret out there, and nobody knows about it.
Yeah, FPDS is definitely where you want to go for that. As Robin said, now there has been talk of some things have been moved out of FPDS over to SAM.gov. Have heard some rumblings that they may move some more things, and FPDS may at some point be decommissioned, but that's not anytime soon from what I understand. So, you know, by all means, use the FPDS website. It is really good at breaking down stuff into those little pieces and finding those national stock numbers and stuff like that. You know, there are some private firms out there that will charge you for that information, but you know, it's nothing you need to pay for. And again, they will be more than happy at your Apex Accelerator to help you navigate FPDS. So,
yeah.
once you
And
know
then
how to
also,
use it, you're good.
oh yeah, I was just gonna say also, Louis, if you know, your NSNs and your FSCs are usually associated with the Defense Logistics Agency. So if you go to the Defense Logistics Agency's DIBS, they're where they put their opportunities, register for an account there. You can also research by the NSN, or you can narrow it down just to the FSC. Just enter that in there, and you should usually find, if it's still something that they are procuring, you should find that on that. So that is DIBS, DLA DIBS. I will put that in there.
Yeah, Defense Internet Bid Board. That's a good one.
Yep. And I believe that's all the questions we have for today. Oh, no, nope, we have some in the Q&A. I did not
Okay,
see
cool.
this. Okay, that was the same question.
Good.
And then can an individual locally owned franchise be considered a small business?
Potentially. It depends on a number of factors. So obviously how big the franchise is. What we really look at, though, will be things like the operating agreement and how much control that franchise exerts on the small business itself, on the owner. So some franchise agreements are amazingly restrictive. I've seen things that, they dictate what hours you can operate, what territory you can serve, all your hiring and firing practices, your employment, like everything, where you can actually hang a sign in your own building. Something like that. Our programs all have at least a 51% ownership and control requirement, meaning the small business owner has to own, not only on paper, but actually control the day-to-day business, the decisions that go into that business. So if you're in a franchise that doesn't have anything that's outrageously restrictive and you exert a lot of control on your firm, you're going to be okay more than likely. However, if you're in one of those franchises and it just depends, that is just, that literally dictates everything to you, then probably not. So it really just depends on the franchise. We really have to dig into the agreement to do that. Really, the only way to get a firm answer on that is to actually submit, to whatever program you were looking at. Like if, say, it was the veteran certification, actually submit your application, and then one of our review panelists will get into it and really see if it can work or not.
Well, thank you, Dave. I don't believe there's any more questions coming out of the group today. And
great.
we had a nice turnout today, and we want to, thank you again. I know you've been very supportive of our Mega Matchmaker event every year, and we thank you so much for that. And
no problem. When I was talking, I saw your check is in the mail pop up. I was like,
I just had to put that in there.
Oh, without a doubt. No, well, I appreciate it, and we're here for small businesses. You haven't heard by a lot of us have been small business owners ourselves. We are not the career, even though I'm a career federal employee now. I've had a lot of different things under my belt, along with a number of our counselors, like Robin. Like, we've done other things, so we've been where you are. We understand these things. We're not the people in downtown DC that are coming up with programs, but have never actually worked in an industry or done this stuff. So we're passionate about it. We're happy to help you, and we have just a great network. And literally, I could not do my job without our amazing APEC accelerators, our small business development centers, and the other groups we have. My agency, my office, actually local here, we had a staff of 7 at the beginning of the year. When I came here in 2018, it was 11. We went down to 9 around COVID. We were down to 7, and now we are down to 3. So, we have a big territory with only 3 people.
Yeah.
And a lot of our other district offices are kind of in the same boat, but we rely on our partners. They do great work, and we all work jointly with each other. So if there's ever anything you need, reach out, and anything we can do to help you, we're more than happy to try to do it. So,
yeah, well, we really do appreciate
you all so
your
much.
partnership. You've been wonderful for us, Dave. I know that I can reach out to you anytime when I have a question, and you are really good at your job.
Thank you so much,
we appreciate that. My check's in. You're going to send my check in.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We do appreciate it. And then have a great rest of your day.